Daughter's heartbreaking words, "You ruined our family after I exposed my wife's 5 men affair." David sat in silence, the hum of his small auto repair shop echoing around him. He had always prided himself on being the backbone of his family. But a single evening, one gut-wrenching moment set everything ablaze. He stumbled upon the truth in a series of text messages, a nightmare fueled by the realization that Sarah, his wife of 15 years, had betrayed him. 5 men. Each text punched deeper than the last. It was like a sledgehammer breaking through the walls he had built for safety. How could the woman who once held his heart in her hands turn it into shards of glass? His mind raced back to Saturday morning spent in the shop with Lily, fighting grease and grime, both of them laughing and bonding as they fixed old cars, learning the value of hard work. They lived a simple life in a cozy suburban neighborhood where everybody knew everyone. Family dinners filled with laughter and bedtime stories spun from the fabric of unity and love took a backseat to this insidious betrayal. As he stood in that dimly lit shop, the screams of his heart echoed in the stillness. David's thoughts spiraled: should he confront Sarah, exposing her affairs? Or hide the truth for the sake of their daughter, Lily? The battle raged within, each side waging war against the other. Finally, anger eclipsed reason. It was time for the harsher truth. After all, wasn't honesty meant to preserve the family? As the words tumbled from his lips, the devastation etched on Lily's face pierced his soul with a force he never anticipated. "You ruined our family!" She screamed, her eyes wide with disbelief, hurt spilling from her voice like an open faucet. Her reaction was a punch to the gut, and in an instant, he saw the reality he had unleashed. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. In the weeks that followed, the community became a battleground of whispers and judgment. David had always thought he knew what family meant. But the fracture had grown too deep. He was left scratching his head, fighting regrets that weighed heavier than steel. He tried to reach out to his friends, but their cautious glances only pushed him further into isolation. Each day felt like a new mountain to climb, and with every step, he carried Lily's heartbreak like an anchor. As the clock ticked on and the gossip spread like wildfire, his heart wrestled with a brave but broken hope. Could their family heal? Would Lily ever look at him without those hurt-filled eyes? With every glance at her, he felt a tightening in his chest, a reluctance to face the void. The world outside moved on, and he was caught in the crossfire of love and betrayal, stuck at the crossroads. Standing at that crossroads, David felt the weight of every choice bearing down. Could they reconcile, or had he truly shattered the essence of family? As he stood alone, a haunting question lingered: could a family ever truly recover from such scars? Days turned into weeks, each sunrise bringing familiar sorrow. David wandered around his shop, fingers tracing the tools he had once grasped with purpose. The scent of motor oil, once a comfort, now felt like an anchor dragging him deeper into despair. Whenever he caught sight of Lily, his heart splintered all over again. She was a shadow of her former self. Those vibrant eyes, filled with life and mischief, now echoed a haunting sadness. They rarely spoke. Instead, conversations turned to tight-lipped sighs and distant gazes. David longed to bridge the gap, but the fear of opening old wounds paralyzed him. One evening, as David closed up the shop, a sudden thought hit him. What if Lily needed to hear the whole truth, not just the heartbreak but also the lessons from it? Perhaps it was time to have a father-daughter talk, a moment he hoped could mend their frayed connection. Sitting at the dinner table, the silence was deafening. Over half-eaten plates of spaghetti, David could feel the weight of unspoken words between them. He watched as Lily absent-mindedly twirled her fork, her mind miles away. He took a deep breath, gathering courage like ammunition. "Lily, can we talk?" His voice wavered, carrying a heavy weight. She looked up, surprised but guarded. I guess," she replied, barely meeting his eyes. Little by little, David opened up about his own struggles. He shared how he felt betrayed, lost, and how he hadn't known how to navigate the turbulent waters of their family's storm. "Being honest was meant to protect you, but I see now that it hurt you more than I realized." Lily's expression shifted slightly. There was a flicker of understanding, just a shimmer of recognition in the fog of pain. "You know, Dad, it feels like I don't even know who I can trust anymore," she admitted, the words bursting out like a shaken soda can. "I can't take the hurt away, but I want to be here for you," he said, his heart racing with hope. "We can rebuild, even if it feels impossible right now." "But how can we, Dad?" "Everything is just broken," she said, tears welling as the walls she had built began to crack. David reached across the table, taking her trembling hand in his. "It won't be easy, and it won't be quick. But little by little, we can try. You and me, together. It'll take time, and we might stumble, but I promise I'll be honest and work to earn your trust back." In that moment, something softened in Lily's posture. Maybe it was the possibility of healing, or maybe it was his unwavering love. The tightness in her chest seemed to ease, if only for a fleeting second. "So you really think we can fix this?" she whispered, her eyes glistening. "I hope so," he replied, a cautious smile breaking through the hurt. Her silent nod was all the feeding ground David needed. They were beginning to tread a path together, a slow, painful march towards recovery. But just as the flickering light of hope began to shine, a loud knock shattered the moment. David's heart sank as he recognized that Sarah stood at the door, framed by the evening light, uncertainty written across her face. What was she doing here? His pulse quickened as he turned to Lily, and the question hung thick in the air: were they ready to face the woman who had set this chaos in motion? As he walked toward the door, a knot twisted in his stomach. Would this be a conversation of healing, or more destruction? David took a deep breath, knowing that the reality of their family's unraveling was about to collide with the fragile hope they had just begun to cling to. David opened the door slowly, the wood creaking as if it sensed the tension in the air. Sarah stood there, her eyes darting nervously from him to the shadow of Lily looming in the background. The atmosphere around them thickened, crackling with unspoken accusations and buried resentment. "David," she began, voice trembling, but he cut her off before she could finish. "Why are you here?" The harshness in his tone surprised even him, but it felt like he had no other choice. Lily peeked from behind David, her face a mixture of hope and dread. "Mom, what do you want?" Her voice strong, but it faltered ever so slightly. I just need to talk," Sarah said quietly, her usual bravado stripped away. David could see the shadows haunting her features. "Can we at least sit down?" David stepped aside and let Sarah in, curiosity mixed with a palpable sense of betrayal coursing through him. They settled at the same table where hope had flickered just moments before, now overshadowed by an impending storm. Lily picked at her plate, avoiding eye contact with Sarah, as if they were strangers. The silence that lingered felt like an intruder. Finally, Sarah spoke, her voice cracking like ice. "I know I messed up. I know I hurt both of you beyond belief, but I'm here to try to explain, to make sense of everything." Lily shot Sarah a glare that could cut through steel. "Explain? You think sorry is enough? You shattered our family. We don't even know who you are anymore." David's heart ached as he watched his little girl transform, her words hanging in the air like heavy fog. The room felt suffocating, as though all the air had been sucked out. "Lily, please," Sarah began, but the words quickly faltered. "No, Mom." Lily interrupted, her voice rising. "You don't get to just waltz back in and expect forgiveness. Do you even realize what it's been like? We were building something here, trying to piece our lives back together. And then you show up like this, like nothing happened. David squeezed Lily's hand under the table, wanting to offer support but knowing that this moment, this confrontation, was hers to navigate. I know. Sarah said, tears beginning to brim in her eyes. What I did, it was selfish. I never meant to hurt you, either of you. I got lost in my own pain. I thought chasing attention would fill the void. Lily stood up abruptly. You weren't lost, you were running away. You had a choice, Mom. You chose to betray us. Sarah's sobs echoed through the small room. I wanted to feel anything other than the emptiness. I was wrong. I see that now. David felt torn. Watching his daughter lash out, it filled him with fear, but also a flicker of hope, a chance at honesty, raw and painful. Sarah, he started, we need to focus on Lily and what she's feeling right now. You need to hear her. I get it, Sarah said, voice laced with regret, but it doesn't excuse what I did. Can we at least talk as a family? A family. The word hung painfully in the air. David's heart felt both heavy and hopeful, because despite everything, he wanted this for Lily, wanted her to feel whole again. As they glanced at each other, an unspoken understanding passed among them. Perhaps amidst all the destruction, they could begin to carve out a new path, a painful yet necessary one. Maybe, Lily said, voice wavering slightly, but it'll take more than words. David locked eyes with Lily, sharing the weight of their unresolved emotions. This was only the beginning of a long, complicated journey, he felt it deep in his bones. Then a thought hit him like a burst of cold water. Would Sarah truly come to understand the depth of pain she had caused, or would she fall back to patterns of avoidance that had once led them to this point? Okay, David said steadily, let's start here. Truths need to be shared. But this is going to be hard. Are you ready for that? The truth felt daunting, but in that moment, it was the only thing that mattered. And as the shadows of the past loomed over them, they knew the path ahead was fraught with risks and possibly healing. Just as they began to settle into what would surely be an excruciating conversation, a louder knock resounded against the door, interrupting their fragile peace. Who else could be standing there, ready to complicate the already tangled web? The knock came again, sharp and insistent, jolting them from the depths of their fraught conversation. David shot a glance at Lily, whose eyes flickered with a mix of curiosity and fear. Sarah wiped her tears, and the moment of honesty felt suspended in the air, fragile and unfinished. Who is it? David called out, his voice barely concealing the tension that had taken root in the room. A pause followed, and then a voice called back. It's me, Sam. David sighed, recognizing the name of their family friend. They had leaned on Sam for support during the last tumultuous months, but David didn't want an audience for this pivotal moment. Now isn't a good time, he said, uncertainty coloring his tone. David, please. It's important, Sam replied, urgency threading through his words. Looking at Lily and Sarah, David hesitated. He didn't want to break this moment, a moment that felt like it could tilt the balance between healing and heartbreak further toward the latter. But the weight of Sam's pleading voice gnawed at him. Unable to ignore his gut feeling, he opened the door. Hey, what's going on? Sam stepped inside, his expression shifting from casual to concerned as he took in the scene. He sensed the charged atmosphere immediately. Just a family discussion, David replied, a hint of defensiveness creeping into his voice. From the looks of it, this isn't just a casual chat, Sam observed, eyebrows raised. Lily folded her arms, her mood instantly flipping from hurt to irritation. We don't need an audience, Sam. You should go. Lily, let him stay, Sarah interjected, her voice shaky yet firm. He deserves to know what's going on. David turned to Sarah, unsure of how much was too much to share. But deep down, he knew having Sam there might provide a safety net. After all, they couldn't afford to collapse at this stage. As they settled back, Sam took a seat, his eyes darting between them, reading the tension in the room. I might not know everything happening here, but I can feel the pain. What happened? This was it. David cleared his throat. Sarah is back after a long absence, and we're talking about our family and the damage done. Mom thinks sorry will fix everything, Lily snapped, her voice shaking. But sorry isn't enough. The shadow of guilt cast over Sarah deepened. I know forgiveness takes time, but I think we can find a way back. But I need you to want that too, Lily. I wanted a family, Lily interrupted, tears springing to her eyes. We built our lives without you. You just disappeared and Lily, please. David said softly, hoping to navigate the storm. Let her speak. Why should I? Lily challenged, her anger surfacing like boiling water. She chose her choices over us. Lily, you might not see it now, but I thought leaving would be better for all of us, Sarah said in a raw whisper. I didn't think of the consequences. Sam leaned forward, his face a mask of empathy. If you all want to heal, you're going to have to talk about pain, really talk about it. What do you know about it? Lily shot back, her frustration amplifying. You haven't lived this nightmare. I've seen families broken and picked up the pieces, even my own, Sam replied, sincerity etching his features. Sometimes, the hardest thing to do is accept you can't fix everything, only begin anew. David watched as the layers of sorrow unfolded, sensing the current shifting beneath them. The warmth in the room felt almost like an uninvited guest, silently waiting for someone to acknowledge its presence. He faced Sarah, heart racing. Can you be honest with us? About everything? Tears streamed down Sarah's cheeks again, but there was a glint of resolve in her eyes. Yes, I'll share everything. But only if you promise to listen. Why would we trust that? Lily shot back, filled with fresh anger. You've already shown us what you're made of. David felt hope and disappointment intertwine, running through them like a river without a clear bank. But even facing the wreckage, one undeniable truth emerged in him: they needed to decide together what kind of family they were willing to fight. For now. With the truth looming like thunder in the air, the room sat on a precipice, ready to plunge into another wave of emotion. Would Sarah's revelations bring them together or drive them further apart? Just as David prepared to take the plunge into uncertainty, his phone vibrated on the table, distracting him. A text flashed, "We need to talk. I know what you did." Who could that be? And what did they know about the past? The room fell into an uneasy silence as the weight of Sarah's decision loomed over them, betraying vulnerable secrets yet to be shared. David's mind raced, fueled by a mix of anxiety and curiosity. The text on his phone felt like a ticking clock, counting down toward an uncertain revelation. David? Sam's voice broke through the tension. What's wrong? You look like you just saw a ghost. I just got this message, David stammered, holding up the phone, his heart pounding. It's from someone who knows what happened. It feels connected to all this. A flicker of alarm crossed Sarah's face. What do they know? I'm not sure. But we can't ignore it, David replied, trying to keep his voice steady. Maybe it's someone trying to stir up trouble, Lily offered, crossing her arms tightly against her body as if protecting herself from something unseen. Or it could be a sign that we need to face everything together, Sam urged, keeping his gaze on David as if willing him to choose the honest route. David exchanged glances with Sarah and Lily, weighing the tension against the possibility that confronting the past might be their only way forward. What if this person knows something that could either heal us or destroy what little we have left? Sarah said, her voice a mix of fear and sadness. Then we face it, David declared, surprising even himself with the firmness in his tone. We can't continue living like this, with wounds unhealed and lies lingering. But what if it makes things worse? Lily's voice trembled, revealing the vulnerability beneath her anger. We'll only know if we listen, said Sam, his calmness acting as an anchor in the storm swirling inside the room. David pulled in a deep breath, steadying himself. "We're going to need to share everything," he said, turning to Sarah. "I want to understand why this happened. No more hiding." Sarah hung her head, her breaths hitching as emotions surged within her. "I'll tell you, but honestly, I'm terrified. The things I've done." Lily shifted her weight, edging closer but holding herself back like a taut bowstring. "You should be terrified. Do you know what you put us through?" "Lily," David cautioned gently, "this is the moment. If she's willing to open up, we have to listen." With a trembling voice, Sarah began, "I thought leaving would fix everything. I thought, how naive I was. I always thought I was protecting you both. But I was only running away from myself." Tears streamed down Sarah's face as she continued, "I created a mess, searching for something I thought I lost. But I ended up losing everything instead." The air thick with unresolved anger and grief pressed on Lily's chest, yet the vulnerability in her mother's words began to shift something inside her. "Do you think you can just say that and it makes everything okay?" "I don't expect forgiveness," Sarah whispered through her tears. "But I need to be honest now about the affair and the other lives I disrupted. I need you to understand the whole truth." "Tell me what you mean," David urged. His heart raced, uncertain but eager to grasp the threads of clarity that might come from her honesty. As Sarah took a shaky breath, preparing to unveil her dark past, David's phone buzzed again. This time, the urgency felt pressing, almost desperate. "Please," the text read. "Don't tell her. I'll explain everything. You know what's at stake." David's heart dropped, the conflicting texts pulling him in two different directions. Sensing the fracture line of truth and betrayal extending further, he had to make a choice. Would he expose Sarah's past to save their family? Or would he protect her secrets, risking everything for a fragile hope? With the tension coiling tighter around them, he looked back at Sarah and then at Lily. "Are we ready for the truth?" he asked, his voice trembling with uncertainty and urgency. Before anyone could respond, David felt the weight of a new fear ripple through him. Could revealing everything finally break the family apart even further, or was it the only way to rebuild? David felt the snap of tension in the air, a silent scream of unspoken words colliding with the truth. Sarah's eyes, glistening with unshed tears, locked onto his, searching for a lifeline. "What do we do?" Lily's voice trembled, a raw edge trailing off. She looked back and forth between her mother and David, a whirlwind of emotions brewing in her chest. "I need to know what you're hiding," David insisted, forcing the words out like a weight on his tongue. It wasn't just about Sarah anymore, it was about their family, fractured yet still hanging on by fragile threads. I didn't want you to find out like this," Sarah began, her voice wavering. She reached out, desperation clawing at her features. "The affair was a mistake, a moment of weakness. I thought I could fix everything by leaving, but all I did was add to the chaos. For years, Mom. You left us without answers. You shattered us." Lily shot back, hurt radiating from her. So much anger bubbled up, ready to erupt. "Do you think saying it was a mistake makes it okay?" A soft sob escaped Sarah as she pressed a fist to her mouth, trying to contain the flood of emotions. "I thought I was protecting you both in my own twisted way. I wanted to save us from my mistakes." David felt like he was clutching onto a cliff's edge as emotions surged and pulled like harsh tides. "That doesn't excuse keeping secrets," he said, his voice muffled by anguish. "We deserved the truth even if it hurt. But it was never just my choice," Sarah whispered, glancing at Lily. "You both had to carry the weight of my decisions, but I didn't know how to go back." "Stop," Lily interrupted, suddenly fierce. "You're still trying to protect yourself." "I can't." Sarah choked on her words, breaking down entirely. "I don't know how to face this without breaking apart even more. The guilt, the shame, it's all a mountain I built myself, and I feel like I'm suffocating under its weight. David watched as Lily stepped closer, her fury melting into compassion as she wrapped an arm around her mother, holding her tight. "We need each other right now, Mom. We always did." Yet even in that moment of connection, the nagging text from David's phone lingered in his mind. The weight of another truth clawed at him. Who had sent it? What did they know? The silent seconds stretched on, heavy with possibilities. "Are we still a family?" Lily finally asked, the vulnerability reflecting in her eyes. "Can we still be whole after everything?" Sarah began, but the rupture was palpable, the family was still splintered. David felt his heart race. Did sharing this newfound truth lead them back to something great, or would it sink them deeper into despair? David glanced at his phone, the screen lit up with unresolved urgency. The words flashed like a beacon. "I have to decide soon, don't I? David?" Sam's voice broke through again, a blue sky after a storm. "What do you think?" David's heart raced. He had one shot to determine their fate. "I think," he paused, looking at Sarah and Lily, "I think we need to face whatever is coming, together. But I need to know who is texting me and why." In that moment, the reality loomed, the past they thought they were confronting was only a fragment of what lay ahead. What other truths awaited them, and could they survive it all? As David's hands clenched around the phone tightly, the room seemed to vibrate with an electric tension, signaling an approaching storm. Would they brave it together, or would the next revelation shatter them once and for all? David felt the air thicken, the pulse of uncertainty echoing wildly in his chest. He turned his phone over in his hands, as if it held the answers he desperately sought. The messages waited, each tap on the screen almost like a countdown to something he'd rather avoid. But there was no turning back now. "Let us just be honest with each other," David said finally, finding the courage buried beneath the chaos. "We can't begin to heal without the whole truth." Sarah's tear-streaked face spoke volumes, a mix of anguish, guilt, and a flicker of hope amid the wreckage. "Then let us all put our cards on the table," Lily added, her voice gaining strength. "We owe it to each other." Her grip on her mother tightened, a silent reminder that they were in this together. "Fine. But I need to know what's in that text first," David replied, trying to assert control over the spiraling emotions. He had thought the hardest part was confronting Sarah about the affair, but now he realized the layer of secrecy around him was just as dangerous. "Can we really handle more of this?" Sarah whispered, the weight of her own actions haunting her. There was desperation in her tone, a suggestion that the revelations had the power to crush them further. Lily released her mother, stepping back, revealing the full extent of her vulnerability. "Why do you have to protect us when you're the one who broke us?" The question hung in the air, raw and barbed. "Because I thought I was protecting you." Sarah fired back, bewildered. "I thought I could fix things without dragging you through the mud." "Fixing things starts with honesty," David countered, impatience rising in him like a storm. "You had 4 years to show us that, and instead, you left us in the dark." "David, please," Sarah choked out, her sobs conflicting against the urgency in the room. "I never meant for any of this to happen. It was one mistake, one moment of weakness that spiraled out of control." Silence fell again, heavy as shadows lengthened in the room. David felt the frustration build tighter in his gut. It was a knot of hurt and fear that twisted into something that felt insurmountable. "Then let us unravel it, one thread at a time." Lily's eyes shone with an intensity he hadn't seen before. "Whatever it takes, I want to know. We need to know for us." Taking a deep breath, David pulled his phone closer, ready to read the message that had haunted him. His thumb hovered over the screen, and he hesitated, knowing this could either bring them hope or ignite the flames of their despair. Sarah reached out, her voice a mixture of pleading and fear. "You can't just no more hiding," he replied firmly, cutting her off. "We've already lost so much time. I won't let this family drown under the weight of silence." He pressed on the screen, and the words spilled out, a mixture of dread and anticipation flooding through him. In that instant, he became acutely aware of how the smallest action could shift everything. How the moment could fracture or forge them together or apart. Suddenly, a sound broke through the tension, a soft chime followed by a gasp. David's heart skidded to a halt. What now? He looked up, confused. Did you see what that text says? Lily's voice trembled. In a split second, he realized the stakes had elevated yet again. Time stopped as David took a deep breath, bracing himself for the rush of chaos that lay ahead. He had to face the truth, but what if it wasn't just about Sarah's past? What if the darkness was deeper, wrapping itself tightly around their family's future? With a heavy heart, David glanced at the screen, knowing that whatever lay ahead could change everything in a heartbeat. Would they stand together against the revealing storm, or was this the blow that would shatter whatever remnants of family remained? David's heart raced as he read the message. Each word felt like a dagger, cutting through the fragile tension in the room. It's over, it began, and he could feel Sarah's breath catch as realization dawned. His hands trembled, a chill creeping up his spine. What does it say? Lily asked, eyes wide with dread. She glanced from David to Sarah, searching for any sign that this could lead to a resolution rather than more heartache. It's from someone who knows everything, David stammered, feeling the walls of his heart constrict. They know about the affair. About the five of them. Sarah's face morphed into a mask of horror, her hands flying to her mouth in disbelief. No. It can't be. How did they find out? I thought we could keep it hidden. Lily took a step forward, anger flaring in her eyes. Keep what hidden? The truth? You can't keep lying to us, Mom. It's why things are a mess. You think you're protecting us? She shook her head, each word stabbing with the painful clarity only a daughter could muster. You ruined our family. The atmosphere shifted as David watched the fallout unfold between them. Sarah's tears flowed freely, her body trembling as shame washed over her. I never meant to hurt you both. She cried. I thought I didn't realize how bad it had become until it was too late. Too late for what? Lily snapped, rage battling with sorrow. You've let this lie fester, and now we're stuck dealing with the fallout. You can't just erase it with tears. David felt like he was watching a storm develop, the tension between them crackling like a live wire. He wanted to intervene, to mediate, but what could he say? His own heart ached, too. Listen, we can get through this, but only if we're honest with each other, he said, his voice trembling with urgency. Could you ever forgive me? Sarah looked at him, her eyes pleading, yet filled with remorse. Forgiveness? That's a big ask right now, David replied, his tone measured, trying to suppress the whirlwind of feelings. We aren't just a heartbroken family, we're shattered right now. The ground under us is unstable. Then let us figure out what's next, Lily said, her anger dissolving into something softer. I can't just stand here and lose you both because you're too scared to face what's real. I need my family. Even if we're broken, I still want us to fight for each other. Even if it hurts. David felt the weight of their words settle heavily like a lead blanket. We'll need a plan. We can't move forward without facing every piece of it together. No more secrets, no more lies. He could see it, the anxiety, the vulnerability, fluttering in the air between them. It could either break them further or unite them stronger than before. Just as that realization began to bloom in his heart, another message dinged on his phone, pulling his gaze back. He looked at the screen again, and his breath caught. Oh no, David whispered, regret washing over him. He wondered if this news could reveal more than just Sarah's past. What if it unearthed the very foundation of what they had left? The uncertainty held, creeping in like a thief in the night, begging to be addressed. I can't read this alone, he said quietly, his voice fraught with apprehension. Can you both stay with me? Whatever this is, we need to confront it together. As the words hung in the air, David could feel the impending storm gearing up to burst. It was clear, they were at a crossroads. The next move could either pull them apart or bring them back together in ways they never imagined. He gathered his breath, and together they faced the phone screen, united against whatever truth awaited them. Would it lead to reconciliation or the final blow that shattered everything? David's finger hesitated over the screen, the weight of the world resting on his shoulders. He took a deep breath, feeling the tension radiate from both Sarah and Lily. They needed to see this together. He couldn't be the only one bearing the burden of whatever lay behind that glowing screen. What if it's worse? Sarah whispered, her voice a trembling shadow of its usual strength. What if they expose everything? What if it ruins our lives? Her eyes darted between David and Lily, searching for reassurance that didn't exist. We've already lost so much, Lily said, her voice steady yet raw. What more could there be? If anything, we need to know the truth. We can't be afraid of the dark. Her words were a beacon through David's own dread, echoing the sentiment that they were all scared but had to confront it head-on. Nodding slowly, David finally pressed the notification. The message opened wide, and he read it aloud, his voice breaking as he did. They're coming for you. They know everything. 5 names. 5 lies. And I'm not too far behind. Tell them I'm not finished with you yet. The air turned cold. It felt like he stepped into a different time and place, the words clawing at his insides. Who is this? He asked, his heart thumping loudly in his chest. I don't know, Sarah wailed. No one should know about any of this. What if it's someone I've hurt? She sank to the floor, her tears cascading, her defeat palpable. I can't take more pain. Then we'll fight, Mom, Lily said, squatting beside her, her fierce love shining through her anger. Don't you dare give up. We'll stick together, no matter what. David's heart tightened as he watched his daughter comfort her mother. He felt like an intruder in their moment of vulnerability. Yet, as much as he sensed their pain, he was filled with a rebellious urge to shield them. They needed a plan. They needed to take action. Okay, he said slowly, a glimmer of determination rising within him. Whatever this is, whatever fallout we face it together. We owe it to ourselves to fight for our family despite the secrets. Lily's eyes brightened, igniting a flicker of hope. We can go through those 5 names, she suggested. Maybe if we figure out who those people are, it might lead us to understand who is behind this threat. Sarah clutched her daughter's arm, squeezing it in gratitude. You're so strong. I don't deserve this love, she said, her heart breaking with shame. No, you deserve this chance to make it right, Lily replied fiercely. We all do. Let us stop hiding. Let us confront this head-on. With a heavy sigh, David knew they were right, facing this darkness was the only way. Let us start with what we do know. Sarah, who were they? Who are the 5? As Sarah swallowed hard, her mind racing, David felt the familiar sting of anxiety coil around his chest again. Yet, as the love in the room swelled, he could still feel the flicker of possibility, the chance that they could rise together. He reached for Sarah's hands, his grip firm and resolute. Whatever it takes, we will find a way together. We need each other. A long moment passed as Sarah absorbed his words, her breath shaky but hopeful. Okay, she finally murmured, meeting his eyes. Let us do this. For us. With each name that began spilling from her lips, tension pulled and twisted in the air. David couldn't shake the unease that sat low in his gut. What if these revelations only deepened the rift between them? But it was too late to back out now. As they embarked down this unknown path, an ominous feeling lingered. Whatever was coming would change everything. David could sense it in the very air around them, heavy with impending doom. Is anyone else out there? A shadowy voice whispered in his mind, reminding him that they might not be alone in this fight after all. And just when it felt like they were gaining control, another message dinged, sending an electric shock through him once again. This time, it was the arrival of a new player in the game, someone who might unravel the very foundations they were trying to rebuild. Heart pounding, he turned back to his family, ready to hear the next revelation. The room felt electric, charged with unspoken fear and hopeful determination. David looked at Sarah, who was still trembling, and at Lily, whose fierce resolve shone like a beacon through the storm. This was at the moment they had been building towards, a chance to not just unveil secrets but to emerge stronger than before. "Let us face this together," David said, summoning all his courage. "We can handle whatever comes. We're tougher than we think." Sarah nodded slowly, wiping her tears. "I need this. I'll tell you everything, the names, the moments. I should have done it when you first confronted me. But I was scared, terrified of losing you both." Lily's anger had begun to dissolve, replaced by a raw parental instinct to heal rather than hurt. "We can't be afraid anymore," she said softly. "The hurt comes from the lies." As Sarah began to recount the seemingly endless mistakes, David felt his heart break anew for the family they once were. She spoke of nights filled with regret, lapses in judgment that spiraled into something she could never foresee. She named the 5 men, recounted the broken promises, and unraveled the fabric of the life they worked so hard to create. With each name that fell from her lips, David grasped Lily's hand tighter, as if to anchor her to the ground. He saw the pain flicker in her eyes, the realization that these feelings were rooted not just in betrayal, but in the need for acceptance. Why were they so easy to choose? Sarah whispered at one point, her voice cracking. "How could I let you both down so deeply?" "It's okay," Lily said, surprising both David and Sarah. "It's not okay what you did, but it's okay to feel regret. You're human, Mom. None of us are perfect. But we're willing to try again." David watched his daughter transform before him, stepping into a role he never imagined she could. The anger was gone, replaced by empathy, perhaps the most vital ingredient for healing. "That's right," he whispered, pride swelling in his chest. "The most crucial part of forgiveness isn't about the past, it's about what we do next. If we can be honest." He felt his heart race as he leaned forward, "We can rebuild." As the conversation evolved, David's phone buzzed again, the familiar sound now a reminder that the weight of their past wasn't done trying to drag them down. He glanced at the screen, a new message, from the same mysterious number: "You've begun a journey. But beware, the truth always has a price." His stomach dropped. "We need to focus on us, not the threats," David warned, locking eyes with Lily. "Whatever darkness lies ahead, we'll emerge together." At that moment, David made a decision: they faced the truth and whatever else life threw at them. They stopped cowering in the dark and redefined what family meant, one small, honest step at a time. As Sarah wiped away the remnants of fear from her face, she took a deep breath and said, "I'm ready to fight for us. I want to let the past dictate our future." A fierce resolve filled the small room, enveloping them in a blanket of hope. They were not just survivors, they were warriors, ready to combat the storm that waited outside their fragile home. They were ready to rise from the ashes together. David's heart soared. "We are family. No matter the chaos, no matter who threatens it, we will stand together." Moments turned into murmurs of agreement until laughter came like gentle rain, reminding them of who they had been amidst the struggle. Their voices began overlapping, each sharing how they wished to mend the pieces of their shattered family. With a renewed spirit, they made promises: to listen, to be honest, and to cultivate understanding. They knew the journey wouldn't be easy, but neither was it insurmountable. Together, they could face the unknown future, each unguarded conversation binding them closer. As they settled into the warmth of their unlikely reunion, whispers of hope lingered in the corners of the room, weaving around them like an unbreakable bond. David felt a bittersweet ache but could finally breathe again, and he knew truth, empathy, and love would light the path ahead. He reached out, wrapping his arms around both of them, tightly, fiercely, until there were no more secrets and no more shadows. "This is our moment to reclaim life," he said, their hearts beating as one. As night fell, a new dawn approached with the promise of healing. They had faced their worst fears and emerged alive. They were ready. Together, they were a family. Now, dear friends, if you felt moved by their journey, it's time for you to act. You need to subscribe now to ensure you don't miss any upcoming exclusive stories that can inspire change. Leave a like now if you felt the pain and joy as I did, because every like helps fuel the algorithm to spread hope. Comment your thoughts and feelings about this stunning conclusion. I want to know how this transformed your view. Don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this beautiful transformation. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting our journey together.